A maverick archaeologist pauses on a Saudi dune at sunrise. NASA film canisters rattling in his pack. He brushes wind-blown sand from a shallow, snaking depression and laughs into the emptiness. "Paradise was here," he says. All around him lies featureless desert. 40 meters beneath it, he insists, the Garden of Eden sleeps under salt water and oil pipelines. Academics roll their eyes. Clerics clear their throats. Yuri Zarins only grins. If both sides call you crazy, history is about to get interesting. Zarins never set out to prove scripture. He is an outspoken atheist who despises lazy thinking. Yet he is convinced that every creation myth began as someone's field report. Strip away poetry, follow the data, and you arrive at a latitude-longitude the ancients could have walked across. Eden, he believes, is no different, a real delta, fed by real rivers, later drowned by rising seas. In 1987, Smithsonian published his claim, and the backlash was instant. Faith needed no GPS, theologians argued. Genesis was allegory, scholars scoffed. Zarins kept digging. His first clue is linguistic. Eden isn't Hebrew at all, it's Sumerian for open steppe. The Hebrew editors borrowed the word, polished the plot, and stitched paradise into their own origin story. They did the same, he notices, with an even older text, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Swap Dilmun for Eden, replace clay tablets with parchment, and Adam and Eve become direct descendants of Sumerian folklore. If the authors of Genesis repackaged Mesopotamian tales, then Dilmun, not some mystical orchard, is the place to start. Dilmun appears in sailor logbooks, describing an oasis of fresh water, date palms and pearl merchants at the edge of the known world. The port turns out to be Bahrain and coastal Oman, where Zarins spends seasons excavating a lost city called Ubar. The discovery proves a pattern. Legends often point to real trade hubs, not celestial realms. But Eden's layout requires 4 specific rivers. 2 are obvious, Tigris and Euphrates. The other pair, Pishon and Gihon, vanished from modern maps, leading scholars to guess wildly at the Nile or the Ganges. Geography laughs. Those rivers never touch Mesopotamia. He needs eyes in the sky. Landsat, NASA's new satellite, is quietly photographing every inch of Earth. A friend smuggles him early, low-resolution prints. Under magnifying glass, the grayscale desert blooms with hidden detail. A dark ribbon curves across western Arabia, bends north toward Kuwait, and fans into a delta. A fossil river, dry for 10,000 years, exactly where the Bible places the elusive Pishon. 3 rivers located, Eden suddenly looks plausible. Yet the landscape is anything but a garden. Satellite images show barren floodplains, salt flats, lifeless wadis. Zarins remembers his geology training. Context without chronology misleads. 10,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, sea level sat 200 feet lower, and the Persian Gulf was a grassy basin, not a body of water. Monsoon rains reached deep into Arabia, feeding the Pishon year-round. The Tigris and Euphrates, unconfined by a gulf that did not yet exist, joined the Pishon in a single super river that meandered south across what is now seafloor. In that vanished delta, hippos wallowed, reeds waved, and wild wheat sprang unbidden, a true paradise for hunter-gatherers who had never tilled soil or feared drought. One river remains. The Book of Genesis calls it the Gihon and says it flows through the land of Cush. Most translators equate Cush with Ethiopia, but Zarins spots another option. Ancient texts also use Cush for the Zagros highlands of western Iran. Out of those mountains flows the Karun, a powerful watercourse that, until 20th century dams, emptied into the exact junction where the Pishon, Tigris, and Euphrates once merged. The 4-river puzzle is complete. Plot their Ice Age paths on a bathymetric map, and they encircle a teardrop of drowned land that now lies beneath the northern Persian Gulf. An Atlantis-sized delta, every inch matching Genesis chapter 2 verse 10. Paradise, then, was temporary. When glaciers melted, The gulf filled, salt water overtook fresh, and the garden disappeared. The people who lived there retreated north to harsher floodplains. Forced to coax grain from clay, they invented irrigation, the wheel, and eventually writing, the very tools that allowed Sumerian scribes to immortalize a lost green Eden they would never see again. Eve's bite from the tree of knowledge, Zarines suggests, is allegory for the day humans traded effortless gathering for backbreaking agriculture. Creation was not humanity's beginning. It was humanity's first technology hangover. Critics fire back. Rivers run downhill, they note. Genesis says the 4 rivers flow out of Eden. Zarines counters with digital elevation models. Pre-flood topography shows his delta perched higher than the basin that became the Gulf. When sea levels rose, downhill reversed. Perspective shifts when the ocean pours through your backyard. Other scholars accuse him of forcing science onto faith. Surprisingly, many church groups invite him to speak. Congregations pack Sunday halls to hear an atheist propose a testable Eden, trading intangible miracle for geological wonder. Better a God who works through rivers than a God who hides the evidence, one pastor concludes while shaking his hand. What matters most, Zarines insists, is the lesson beneath the legend. Climate swings rewrite maps, trade spreads stories faster than caravans move incense. Technology grants power, then chains us to its upkeep. Eden's drowning prefigures every coastal city now worrying about sea level rise. The serpent is appetite, the flood is climate debt, and paradise lost is a breadcrumb trail leading us back to the birth pains of civilization. So Eden is not behind celestial gates, but under the shipping lanes of the Persian Gulf, where dolphins glide above ancient hearthstones. The story endures because loss endures, because every generation senses a simpler time, now submerged by progress. The gods didn't exile us. We innovated ourselves out of the garden and never stopped rowing. History is messy. We tell it anyway. Subscribe for the next inconvenient truth. On Wednesday, we pick apart the 600-meter fireball that rewired the modern world. Until then, keep digging. Myth is just data with better lighting.